My brother fell into the well, but something was already down there, eating the meat. Behind my grandfather's house stood an old well. As far back as I can remember, no one ever drew water from it. Not 10 years ago, not 20, not even 50. Grandpa used to say there'd never been any water in it at all. But Grandma would scare us with tales, claiming a Kikimora lived down there. My brother Vlad and I laughed for ages over that name, Kikimora. One day, though, she told us a chilling story tied to that well. Back in 1952, Grandpa had built the house. Grandma got married and moved in. There was no plumbing back then, so Grandpa dug a deep well. But no matter how far he went, no water came. Eventually, he boarded it up with logs, saying it'd be for better times. They fetched water from a public pump nearby instead. Then strange things started happening. At night, someone, or something, would pry those logs loose. From the inside, chickens went missing, sometimes sheep too. And once in a while, whatever it was, would slaughter them right there in the yard. Grandma said it was a horrifying sight. Grandpa refused to believe it was anything more than mischief. He wouldn't fill in the well, still hoping water might show up someday. But one night, or rather, just before dawn, Grandma saw it. Something climbing out of the well, pale skin, bony and gaunt, with huge long fingers. From a description, it sounded a lot like what people call a rake, or a raking man. The well stayed that way for years, never filled in, just boarded up again, this time with sturdy oak planks. Grandpa and Grandma passed away, and somehow those stories never reached my dad. By the time he came along, the house had become our summer retreat, like a dacha. One summer, Vlad and I got it into our heads to check out this so-called creature for ourselves. We didn't believe in Kikimoras or any of that nonsense. We thought it was hilarious. But catching a real rake on camera, right here in Russia, that was too tempting to pass up. We begged our parents to let us sleep outside that night, near the house. Dad was all for it, though Mum wasn't thrilled. We grabbed an old heavy lamp to light things up a bit. Vlad swiped a chunk of meat from the kitchen to lure whatever might be down there. Night fell. Once our parents turned off the house lights, we set the raw meat by the boards and climbed into our tent. For nearly 2 hours, nothing happened. Vlad finished his chips and fell asleep, snoring away. No monster in sight. I was barely keeping my eyes open when I heard it. A creak, the sound of boards shifting. I froze. Terror locked my chest. I couldn't breathe. I needed to wake Vlad, but I was too scared to move. Finally, summoning every ounce of courage, I shook him awake. I pressed a finger to my lips, signaling him to stay quiet, and pointed toward the well. His eyes went wide. We held our breath, hearts pounding so loud it felt deafening. But then, nothing. No more sounds. Vlad shrugged, whispering that I'd woken him for no reason. I insisted I'd heard the boards move. He didn't buy it. Suddenly, he bolted out of the tent. I lunged for his leg, but missed. Still trembling, I crept out after him. He was gone. Panic hit me hard. Then he jumped out from behind, laughing loud enough to wake the dead. He didn't believe me, and marched straight to the well to prove it. The meat was missing. He accused me of hiding it to scare him, to show he wasn't afraid and that he didn't buy my story. He decided to peek inside. I tried to stop him, but he was set. He shoved the boards aside and leaned over the edge. Then he went still. I asked what he saw, but he didn't answer. I figured he was messing with me again. I stepped closer to the well. In the pitch-black depths, something was there. Someone sitting at the bottom, gnawing on that piece of meat. A wave of dread washed over us. I couldn't even scream. Vlad just stood there, staring down. I yelled at the top of my lungs. Dad flicked on the house lights and rushed out with a flashlight. I pointed at the well. He ran over, shone the beam inside, and there was Vlad, crumpled at the bottom. They pulled him out. He'd broken his arm and was scratched up bad. He was lucky he hadn't smashed his skull. Dad didn't listen to our frantic explanations. Furious, he said Vlad had just fallen in because of his own childish stupidity. He vowed to fill in the well the next day, and that there was no such thing as a rake. True to his word, he buried it. Maybe the well connected to some local caves down below, and that's how that thing got in. But we saw it. It was real. Maybe folks around here call it something else, not a rake or a raking man. Whatever it was, we'll never forget it. Grandma was right all along.